Gay furry hackers have attacked the Heritage Foundation and leaked a lot of sensitive data related to Project 2025 is not the headline that I had on my bingo card for 2024, but it is emblematic of the world in which we live, in which there are rogue ideological hacker organizations waging a literal war of ideas in cyberspace. And there's a lot to unpack on this. We're going to talk about the initial attack, what was leaked. We're going to talk about the Heritage Foundation executive having lots of unfriendly things to say about the people that hacked them, the Heritage Foundation now claiming they weren't hacked, and of course Orange Man's opinion, and a little bit on Project 2025 and what it is, because some people may not know. So I've known about this for a while, but now it's one of the most Googled things on the internet, is looking up Project 2025. It's a presidential transition project from the Heritage Foundation that lays the groundwork for the next conservative president. Basically sets all of their policy goals. It's about a 700-page document, and I'll tell you, it's wild. The stuff on this list is actually not exaggerated. Complete ban on abortions, ending marriage equality such as no-fault divorce, no unions, no FBI, no Homeland Security, eliminate agencies like the FDA, EPA, NOAA, which just does the weather radar, cut Medicare, eliminate the Department of Religious Education, put Christian religious beliefs back in public schools, and the list honestly just goes on. This is like a tiny fraction, and I wish I could tell you that this was hyperbolic and made up, but it's not. The biggest thing not on this list is they're planning to fire almost every single federal employee and rehire ones after they've passed a loyalty test. Now, and everybody's least favorite former president has realized how unpopular this is and has been trying to distance himself from Project 2025, saying he knows nothing about it and that he's never heard of it and he's not going to be doing anything. But this is him at the Heritage Foundation talking about 2025.
Job of institutions such as Heritage to lay the groundwork, and Heritage does such an incredible job at that. This is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America, and that's coming.
Yeah, so definitely does, but let's talk about what happened here. So the Heritage Foundation is essentially a think tank. They make policy, they promote policy to our elected officials, and they've been behind getting conservative judges elected as a strategy, by the way. Brilliant strategy. So there's a group called SiegedSec that are self-described gay furry hackers, and they have stolen and released a lot of private Project 2025 data. One of the biggest ones is they're exposing people that support the project, people that maybe supported this privately, but were less likely to do so in public because they were afraid of criticism or backlash. So they leaked full names, email addresses, password, usernames of everybody that interacted with the Heritage Foundation. They've leaked some of their communications back and forth, some of their strategy. Some of their emails back and forth were very, very spicy and unsurprisingly profoundly hateful and homophobic. So a lot of people that previously had nothing public to do with 2025 are now getting put on blast. So in an interview or a conversation in some capacity, the current leadership of the Heritage Foundation got to talk to the leadership of the gay furry hackers that attacked them. The story is so wild. That conversation almost immediately went downhill. They told that they hope that these hackers get pounded in the, you know what that is, in federal prison. They said they told the Heritage Foundation they wanted to shine a light on people that support them and didn't want money or fame. The Heritage Foundation is now trying to shine a light on the furries in the process of outing them, saying reputations and lives will be destroyed. Closeted furries will be presented to the world for the degenerate perverts they are. God created nature and nature's laws are vicious. It's why you have put a perverted animal costume on to satisfy your sexual deviances. Kind of goes on and on and on. Dude replied with a meow. They're arguing back and forth. And what's even more hilarious about this is the very next day, today, the Heritage Foundation is saying, nope, we didn't. No, we didn't get hacked by gay furries. That there was some other thing. There was something else that happened. We didn't get owned by this group over here. And this is a very wild story. It's a very impactful story because Project 2025, if it comes to fruition, hope to God it doesn't, it's going to be very impactful, but it's wild to think that in the annals of history, this might be one of the first literal Cyberpunk 2077 example of a sort of ideologically driven hacker group taking on massive aspects of the federal government. Because while the Heritage Foundation is not a government branch, it does work very closely with a lot of high-ranking elected and appointed officials. So it's like literally an online insurgency, which I think is just crazy. I can't believe these are the times I'm living in. The West Coast heat wave is so hot that even emergency medical helicopters are grounded. It's too hot to fly helicopters in general, and that's killing people. We can't medevac anybody. We can't go to remote locations for rescue. We can't do something like use a helicopter to transport an organ or a kidney or something that you need very urgently, because helicopters have a temperature limit. After a certain temperature, it becomes extremely unsafe, or in some cases impossible, to get the helicopter off the ground because the heat makes the parts expand too much, changes the air density, and most importantly, it changes the sensors. That's something I learned actually here doing a TikTok video where we talked about drone up deliveries in Texas, which delivers your drone, your food from like Walmart, right? But we almost couldn't do this because at noon in Texas, it was so hot. All of the sensors and optics and everything on the drone was just completely failing. The batteries were overheating. So it's kind of one of the things that this company had to learn. And it's something that people in, I guess, Western United States, California, Oregon, whatever, are learning as well. It's so hot we can't take helicopters off, even emergency helicopters. They just were not designed to operate in these conditions. So at the end of the day, you just got to say, thanks, climate change. Nearly all AT&T cell customers' call and text records have been exposed in a massive new breach. And I want to clarify, nearly every single AT&T customer that used the company in 2022, that's how long it takes for us to find out about this, has had their information leaked. So let's go down here and read a little bit. The call and text message records from mid to late 2022 of tens of millions of AT&T cell phone customers and many non-AT&T customers, because they're reaching out to other people, were exposed in a massive data breach. AT&T describes it as being nearly all of their customers in its network between May and October 2022. Even a few in January 2023, a very small number as they say. The stolen logs contain a record of every number AT&T customers called or texted, including the customers of other wireless networks, the number of times they interacted, and the call duration. Importantly, AT&T said stolen data did not include the contents of calls and text messages, nor the time of those communications. So your full messages, those spicy messages you messaged other people, did not get leaked, according at least to AT&T. And AT&T blamed an illegal download on a third-party cloud platform that it learned about just this April, as the company was grappling with a completely separate, unrelated major data leak. They found this leak while they were trying to fix another leak, and they said that actually it was the Department of Justice that wanted to delay public disclosure so that they could assess it for potential national security risk, work on the messaging, and they all worked together collaboratively through the first and second delay process, all while sharing key threat intelligence to bolster FBI investigative equities and assistance. So this is like wild. AT&T shares fell 1% following the news. That's probably like a couple $2 billion, but they'll get it back just based on the next thing that affects the market positively in a psychological way. But it's just a reminder that in this day and age, we know that our DMs on various social media platforms are subject to the scrutiny of the platforms themselves and not super private. A lot of people like to think that our cell phone communications are somehow more private, but they're really not. NASA scientists have designed a spacesuit that could turn urine into drinking water. And if the first thing you thought when you read this headline was, that's just Dune still suits, well, that's exactly what it was based on. The still suits that the Freeman, or the main character Paul Atreides, wears in Dune, which in the sci-fi context of that world is a suit that perfectly captures and reuses all of your bodily moisture to its maximum ability. There's even this like Reddit infographic that goes over all the different like filtrations and features and how it collects sweat right out of your pores and blah, blah, blah. But the real NASA still suit, unfortunately, looks a little bit like a space diaper. I should take this more seriously. Okay, they are a prototype, and the suit's creators hope that it can be deployed by the end of the decade in NASA's upcoming Artemis program, which is going to be focused on landing a crew on the lunar South Pole in 2026, Would love to see that. And then the ambition of launching crewed missions to Mars sometime in the 2030s. And the point of this is that astronauts currently only have 1 liter of water available to them in their in-suit drinking bags. This is insufficient for the longer lasting lunar spacewalks, which can last up to 10 hours and even up to 24 hours in an emergency, and it's definitely not going to last long enough to build a base on Mars. I do love this person who says, if you're giving NASA billions of dollars, you'd think they wouldn't keep the diaper. But apparently they will. So, oh Lord. Apparently the garments, let's see if we can find out how this is supposed to work. The design includes a vacuum-based external catheter leading to a combined forward reverse osmosis unit, providing a continuous supply of potable water with multiple safety mechanisms to ensure astronaut well-being. I can't imagine it tastes good. The astronauts they surveyed about this just said that's par for the course. It's one of the prices you have to pay for being an astronaut, is dealing with stuff like this. I wish we could have them looking cool, but I guess that's the difference between a sci-fi movie and reality.